turn our focus on the Niger Delta and the recent political social dynamics, a conversation that aims at evaluating the conundrums of political conflicts and how they generally influence growth and development of the region. We'll also concern ourselves with the recent political and social developments within the region. We're being joined on Niger Delta today by a political analyst, Honorable Israel James. Honorable James, you're welcome to Niger Delta.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to
have
you.
Honorable.
Yes.
Well, let's first have a little let's analyze the Niger Delta region, the political sphere. We've had so many talk concerning taking over of the River State, taking over Delta most recently, and of course the Edo State has already been done, taking over. What is really about the Niger Delta that each government, even the PDP, had ensured that they stayed in the Niger Delta region for years and tried to hold on to those offices? So what is really about the Niger Delta that parties are craving or going after the region?
Oh, well, you seem to surprise me when you say takeover. I'm wondering if there's a war going on in those regions, you understand? So we are looking at shifting political landscapes, and then I wouldn't necessarily classify it as a takeover. But then again, change is one thing that is constant as long as society is concerned. We've had a certain political party dominate this region for quite some time, and they've led a couple of foundations in development, several democratic institutions they've been able to set up. But we cannot completely say that is all what the people in the Niger Delta want. And as such, if you are used to a particular taste for some time, which you are not necessarily satisfactory with, but it's the only taste that has been available for you, when something new is presented, you tend to tilt towards it. So I don't think it's a takeover. I would just classify it as a recent change in political dimensions.
So that would be a good thing for the region?
Well, it depends on what comes on after that. I can't predict the future, but I can actually say that there are several leaders in these new parties you're mentioning who have over time shown their testament that they have been able to attract good dividends of democracy in other regions, using the party as the vehicle they've been driving upon. So if they try it here in the Niger Delta region, I think we can see better development.
Okay, Honorable James, so because of the oil and other natural resources we're blessed with in the Niger Delta region, do you think this has influenced the way politics is played in the region, especially when you talk about the leaders that we have produced in this region, the promises that have been made to citizens of the region about making sure that the region is cleaned up, transformed? We're going to be seeing developments and infrastructural and advancements. Has that been the case, or is it business as usual when we talk about the Niger Delta region? Have we seen any positive developments in the Niger Delta region, honestly?
Okay, you can measure developments in the Niger Delta region by yourself. You can give your take on it. I would give my take on it here, because I think for the region that controls the resource that drives the economy of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, there's supposed to be lots of expectation. I mean, when you look at it, you're supposed to see thriving inland waterways, you're supposed to see thriving economic development happening in the area. But that has not been the case for the region. We have basically been an extractive region. Mostly what is taken out of us is much more than what comes in. So there are different ways in which we can change that. But we need to, as a region, take our eyes off the oil. So why do I say that? The large dependence which we've had on oil for a long time now has made us not look inwards to come up with better economic proposals to drive the region to be worthy of what it is. I mean, if you look at the population in the region, we are doing very well. You can even look at the blue economy, the inland waterways. These are some things that governments should be looking into, to create a different source of revenue. And as such, we are hoping that It will happen, but we are not seeing it happen right now. So it asks the question, can this present political vehicle, which is currently operating in the region, do that? Yes or no? I leave that question to the Nigerian people.
Okay, we're having to look at what comes into the region. Recently, the president had created a regional development ministry.
Yes.
And we have the Niger Delta there, and there's also the canvassing for the South-South Development Commission.
Okay.
And people are of the opinion that this brings about some form of multiplicity. Shouldn't the NDDC have its, which captures, of course, most of the southern states, and then the South-South? Isn't that too much for the region? Okay,
one of the things we've seen that has characterized this administration, I mean the administration of President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, are reforms. So he has looked at the NDDC and looked at how they've operated for quite some time, and he's trying to disintegrate development in such a way that it affects and gets to every region in a way that they can give account for themselves. The purpose for the establishment of the NDDC has possibly been achieved, and there's one thing that I like to communicate, and that is that development is not static. You know, you can't, your solution today to development might be a problem tomorrow. Take a look at subsidy. It was a solution. Well, it slowly became a problem to the Federal Republic, who were spending several billions of dollars to maintain that particular envelope of development. But then again, it became a problem. So we have to move away from it. So we are looking at a situation where we start moving away from NDDC to regional development commissions. So if you say if it's too much, I think you should maybe look back at their acts. What is the NDDC hoping to achieve? And what is the South-South Development Commission hoping to achieve?
All right, Honorable James. Well, let's talk some politics now. Looking at the wave of defections that have been happening recently, mostly from the PDP to the APC. Of course, we know why that is. APC is at the center. When it was the PDP, we also saw a wave of defections from the APC to the PDP. Well, that is not even the bone of contention. Looking at Rivers now, we know what is happening currently. And the situation of state of emergency, the introduction of a sole administrator arrangement in Rivers State, and how the people of Rivers have reacted to that. Would you say that this is as a result of influence from the center? Because that has been the conversation. There's been a lot of conversation around that this could have been averted. The fact that there's a state of emergency in play right now in Rivers State could have been averted if the president had decided to step in effectively, apart from just trying to intervene. They believe that he could have taken steps to ensure that this was prevented. Do you share in that sentiment, or?
That's a very good question to ask. But then again, we have to look at the cause and not the effect. So we had a situation where there were issues where the state governor was undermining democratic institution, one which is actually the symbol of democracy, which is the State House of Assembly. And there had been this back and forth between the State House and the executive arm of government. But then again, you need to question, where was the mindset of the governor at the time? You see, you passed a budget of the states with 3 lawmakers. Are you denying the other state constituency of representation? There was a court case in regards to that. There were rumors of demolition of the State House of Assembly. You know, there has been, to me, I would classify it as undemocratic actions of the governor. And so it led to chaos. So because when you don't allow people to be represented in a democratic system such as Nigeria, you are literally pushing for instability. So if you're asking if the influence is from the center, I think the root of the problem comes from the state. And they need to look inwards into themselves and decide for themselves, after the 6 months of the interim government, how are we going to operate? Because if you're suspecting that the decision is being made as a result of the influence of the center, it's not completely correct. The center had to come in to uphold a sane society, because we're beginning to see issues of threats to pipeline. And you know that the River State is a member of the Niger Delta states, and this is one of the oil-rich states that contributes to the GDP of the country. And the president is looking to actualize 2.2 million barrels per day. So it would not be in his administration that you are going to start blowing up pipelines when he has a proper economic blueprint to lead the country in the right direction. So he had to step in to put things in order. And so maybe to control the sanity of the state at the time. Well, and he's given maybe 6 months to probably address that. And that 6 months should be a time of reflection for River State people.
But we'll wait to see what happens after 6 months, or even before 6 months, because there are already calls that it should be reviewed. 11 governors from the PDP are already at the Supreme Court level asking for a review of the sole administratorship and the declaration of the state of emergency. Yes. But then, would you say that this has created a ripple effect or some sort of marker ahead of what happens in other Niger Delta states? Do you think that this emboldens successive governments from saying, okay, let's say we were to foment one trouble or the other, it could lead to us being, you know, a state of emergency being declared in
If you say that, it means you're trying to imply that the issues that were created were fomented or were created.
I am saying this to say that there are real issues in River State, and this could be manipulated by political actors in other states. They could use this to their advantage.
To their advantage.
To their advantage. Maybe, for instance, they lose an election.
Yes.
They lose an election and they say, okay, we've lost. Why don't we cause trouble, one trouble or the other? And see if, instead of emergency, we declare.
Well, that's a very good way to look at it. If you ask me, I mean, I wouldn't see it that way. But I'm not sure there is any well-meaning Nigerian who would want to throw their country into that much utter chaos for political reasons. I say that because I look at Nigeria from a utopian standpoint. I like to see things work in the best way possible for the country. I believe in my country.
And I believe in the politicians we have here.
I don't believe in the politicians. Like I said I believe in my country. And that makes up of different people. They are good, they are bad people, and they are obviously the best ones also too. So we shouldn't undermine the ability of the president to come and douse the situation in River State only because we think that there are other people who might copy the same pattern to create instability in their state. We should look at it from the standpoint that River State is very important to the country, and insecurity and instability is not what we should be expecting from River State at a time like this. We are slowly approaching our economic best days in the last 16 years. And so we can't allow an instability such as what was about to happen in River State to happen. And so the president was timely to intervene and address such an issue.
Oh, Jennifer, I'm going to let you kick in, but then just this last question.
All right.
Do you think that there are people who may be benefiting from what's happening in River State currently?
Oh, I know who will be benefiting, the River State people. The peace and quiet in their state is what they will be benefiting.
Negatively, do you think that there are people who are benefiting?
Well, I'm not a negative-minded person, so I think River State people are actually benefiting from the peace and quiet going on now in River State.
Well, I'm going to shift your attention to Edo State. And we understand there has been some defections, especially in the Edo State House of Assembly, from the PDP, the Labour Party, to the APC. And one of the notable concerns has been that this issue had happened in River State, where there was an alleged defection of party members, and it led to some form of trouble. But then, Edo sees it differently. The governor and the Speaker of the House, as we speak, still remains a member of the People's Democratic Party. But the majority is that of the All Progressives Congress. Do you foresee some sort of chaos in Edo State?
There are several factors that can influence party defection when it comes to politicians. In the case where the center of the party cannot hold, there's division at the top. I mean, it's advisable for anybody to move away from a party that cannot hold itself together. If you look at the PDP today, like the distinguished Senate president once joked about on the floor of the Senate, he said, he asked a colleague of his, which of the secretary are you talking about? So you see, when the party is in that much disarray, it gives room for you to defect without any issues or impending lurking issues in the corner. So if the lawmakers feel that the umbrella of the APC is the best platform for them to represent their people and they are doing their defection rightly in line with the Constitution of the Federal Republic, I think they are making the best decision, not only for themselves, but for their people also too.
Let me also take you to Delta State.
Oh, yes.
Very recently, just over the weekend,
Yes.
the senator representing Delta North, I think,
Senator Ned
Nwoko,
Nwoko, right,
yeah, he
close
made
friend.
mention that the APC doesn't need Governor Sheriff Oborevwori. And that there's also been the call concerning the fact that the APC is planning to, of course, take deep roots in Delta State. Governor Sheriff has, prior to this, had made mention of so many things concerning upholding to his party, and there were some sects who had attacked him that he's making plans to defect to the APC. Do you think that there may be some backyard plans?
Well, like you call them backyard plans and then some rumors. So we are not in the mind of Governor Sheriff Oborevwori, but then again, I must applaud Delta State. Even in the midst of the defection, moving from one party to another, they've not been able to, it's not led to any political crisis in the states. The governor is doing what he needs to do. The senators who felt that PDP could no longer hold at the center have all moved over to the APC. 3 out of 3 senators in Delta States are now APC members. So, and several other members of their Federal House of Reps have defected over to the APC. So you see, it goes to say that when you look at things now, it means possibly the house that once stood is no longer standing anymore. And so people are running away looking for a better place to shield themselves, because they have to protect themselves and they have to protect the votes of their people. So if PDP can no longer hold the votes of their people, they will try to come to the house that is standing. And you will not necessarily say that is because APC has a president at the center. But I think the leadership and the ideologies of APC is so solid that you know where you stand when you come in. So we believe, we in the Niger Delta, we believe that if there is going to be a political shift, it should be for the better. Okay,
I'd like to ask you this, Honorable James. These defections, do you think it is politics or public interests?
That's a good question to ask. But you have to look at the people who are defecting. What have they done for their constituents? You look at distinguished Senator Ned, he's doing so very well for his people, even as a PDP person. I'm not sure he's defecting because of personal interest. He doesn't want to wake up tomorrow and they say PDP can no longer field the candidate for Senate in his senatorial district. Okay. And then denying his people of a wonderful representation as himself. So he has to do what is best, both for his people and for his political career. So both go hand in hand.
All right. We're going to dock with Akwa Ibom. The state, yes, some people believe, is a sharp contrast to what is happening in Rivers. I mean, considering these two states were handed over by incumbents who, you know, supported their PDP candidates. And we saw that Pastor Moino came in and was able to sort of create a kind of relationship that breached whatever party affiliation you may have. Lines. And he was able to just work together with every other person, be it the APC, the PDP, or Labour Party, as the case may be. Do you think that he is going to be able to carry on with this strategy? Or is it a time bomb? Is there a time bomb somewhere waiting to happen in Akwa Ibom?
Whether or not it is a strategy, I think it works best for the Akwa Ibom people. You see, after politics, you have to go back to governance. And to govern, you need all arms. You need the national legislature, you need the Federal House of Rep members, you need your state house members. So it wouldn't matter if one of those people are in the APC or in the PDP. So I think it's a more people-oriented approach by him. Let's put together our political differences and see how we can work for the best interest of the state. For now, I think it's working so well for the average people. Because when political chaoses stir up like this, they are not the ones who get affected. It's the ward chairman in his community that can no longer go back home because he feels that the other members of the opposition party are waiting to maybe attack him or do or causing mayhem, or maybe set his house ablaze or something. But we've been able to have an air of political peace in the state so that everyone can be focused on governance, because after the election comes governance. You have to do what you promised the people, and you can't govern in a state that is unstable or unstable. So I think it's a very good approach. To me, I classify it as a people-oriented approach.
So if you were to rate the Akwa Ibom state government currently and its performance, what would you say?
I will keep my rating to myself. You wouldn't know if our interests conflict.
Okay.
Well, Honorable Lizzo James, political analyst, thank you very much for coming on Niger Delta today. We hope to have more of you on the program.
Definitely you will.
All right. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time and insights.
Well, that's the size of the program. Many thanks for staying tuned. Well, you remember you can follow all our activities on all our social media platforms, all of which you can find on our website, advntv.com. My name is Xavier Robert. I'm wishing you a terrific afternoon.
And of course, it's been a wonderful time. Do have a great day. I am Jennifer Pius.